Hello and welcome to the 2024 Region 10 GT Summit. We are so excited that you are tuning in to our session on fostering a growth mindset. As you can see on our slide here, we do have a bit.ly that you can use to access our slides. We want to introduce ourselves. My name is Amanda Knight. I am a counseling consultant here in Region 10.
And I'm Nikisha Fowler, and I'm also the counseling consultant at Region 10. And we're so happy you decided to join our session today.
All right, so most of us probably already have an idea of what a growth mindset is, but we're going to watch just a 1-minute clip from this longer video, and it's going to just help us to visualize and highlight the differences between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
People with the fixed mindset believe intelligence can't be changed. This leads to a desire to look smart, so they avoid challenges. They don't want to look bad if they fail, which holds them back. In the face of obstacles, they get defensive or give up easily. They see effort as pointless and believe that people are only great at things because they were born with special talents. When confronted with constructive criticism, they ignore it. Lastly, they feel threatened by the success of others. People with a fixed mindset achieve much less than they're capable of. On the other hand, people with a growth mindset believe intelligence can be developed. This leads to a desire to learn, so instead of avoiding challenges, they embrace them. They persist in the face of obstacles and see effort as a path to mastery. They accept constructive criticism and use it to their advantage. Lastly, they feel inspired by and learn from the success of others. As a result, they fulfill their ultimate potential.
All right, so just a quick reminder between fixed and growth mindsets. So what we noticed were there were some parallels between characteristics of a person with a fixed mindset and also characteristics of underachieving gifted students. Now, fixed and growth mindsets are not unique to gifted students. That could be really anybody and everybody. But a lot of times, those with a fixed mindset are avoiding challenges, they give up easily, they have a hard time with that criticism, and they are lower achieving. Very similar characteristics of our underachieving gifted students: low self-esteem, reluctance to take risks, lack of perseverance, and a lack of goal-directed behavior. So our gifted students have some unique challenges. Even just the label gifted comes with its own challenge. Think about a gift, right? That's usually something that is given to you. It is a finite object, right? Unchanging. So we have to think of gifted students as the potential that we can dive into with them to help them learn and grow. So some of the other challenges that gifted students have is that there are sometimes few opportunities to fail. They are maybe not challenged as much, or they just don't have the opportunities to practice that failure and how to react to it and how to cope with it. Also, a lot of our gifted students become accustomed to praise regarding their intelligence, right? You're so smart. They might even be praised before they even accomplish something, right? I know you're going to get this because you're so smart. Well, what happens when they don't get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also many of our gifted students have some perfectionistic tendencies. And that can also hinder their ability to really dive into challenges. So we have a couple of strategies to help grow your mindset, and these are good for all students, really, but specifically focusing in on our gifted students. So a lot of times our gifted students come with their own expertise. They have found something in life that they are passionate about. Maybe it is presidents, maybe it's space exploration or Pokemon, but they are passionate about that and they know all the things. So tap into those interests and help them to study some famous failures. That's one way to help build that resilience and show them that even in something that they're most interested in, there have been failures. There have been people that have struggled and overcome. Another idea that you might want to use are some self-reflection and self-assessment strategies. So this really encourages metacognition, that thinking about your own thinking. And it helps students to reflect on their feelings, their actions, and their behavior. And what that's really going to do is encourage their own autonomy. The third strategy is embracing the process over the product, right? Exploring the power of yet. How did you get to the final product? And what was that process like? I've even linked there a music video for a song called The Power of Yet, which is really catchy. It's stuck in my ear today. All right, Nikisha's going to talk a little bit more about the power of productive failure.
So growth mindset in the power of productive failure. What is the problem? Gifted students are frequently mislabeled as having fixed mindsets due to their abilities. And as Amanda said about perfectionists, they believe they did something wrong. And then their underachievers think that there's no point in trying if they've already been labeled. In our core classrooms, gifted students are constantly and sometimes overlooked because we have this assumption that they feel like they're already smart, they already understand it, and we're just going to be able to give it to them and they're going to be able to get it. So what happens when they do not have the opportunity to practice failure? Is this an equitable practice? Have we just set them aside and thought because they were gifted students that they automatically are going to get it? And are they given the opportunity to fail? Possible solution: address the fixed mindsets and practice failure. What does that look like? What is productive failure? Productive failure may not boost short-term performance, but when we're thinking about long-term learning, it is definitely going to impact it significantly. And the crucial part is learning to transform failure into success. So when we start talking about productive failure, it's three essential components: reflection, and as we talked about earlier, a growth mindset, and giving students to have a safe space so they're able to seek help when they feel like it's necessary. So for example, if a student does not perform well on a test, you would seek assistance from a tutor. You ensure you learn from your mistakes and grasp the material thoroughly before progressing. So we want to give students that opportunity. So what does that look like for failure so that they're able to grow from this? Productive failure further pushes for growth mindset in education. So it includes the idea that intelligence is learned, self-directed research, teaching autonomy, connection. It's going to build self-confidence with self-learning, and it's going to teach students to deal with inevitable failure. But it can be productive, and it's going to help students develop resiliency when they are able to experience failure. So growth mindset helps deter the drive of perfection because perfection is stagnation. Feel free to use that picture because I love that picture, because we're always striving for perfection, but are we ever going to get that? Because we sometimes get stagnated if we are just always striving for perfection. Gifted children generally know that they are different. All you have to do is ask them. So providing a clear, age-appropriate explanation, age-appropriate. So we have to think about the age of the students that we're dealing with. So I want to highlight that again: age-appropriate explanation with growth mindset and the power of productive failure. And I want to highlight productive. So we do know that students are going to fail. In a real world, we want them to be successful at everything, but that's not always going to be the case. So in order for us to teach some resiliency, we have to make sure that that failure is productive, and it's going to help them understand their giftedness And remember, it's going to be essential and it validates what they know, because students often that are gifted, as Amanda said, they're misunderstood and they just feel like they're supposed to always get answer because everyone has always praised them and said, oh, you're so smart. But that's not always going to be what really happens. So we want to make sure that we teach them how to deal with failure and how to ask for help. And we want to make sure the classroom is a safe space for them to be able to do that. So why does this matter? A growth mindset and the power of productive failure. So how we interact and encourage students is always going to affect their attitudes toward learning. And then how we act. So we have to think about as adults how we are acting and how that we are responding and our attitudes, because that is going to impact our students. And then a positive mindset is the difference between a student giving up because they're not good at it and a productive struggle. Productive struggle that is going to yield growth, because of course we're here and we're supposed to have these little minds come into our room and the parents are sending us the best that they have. And so we're here to impact them so that they're able to go out into society and be successful. So this is going to help them with their social emotional growth. It's going to build grit, and then it's going to teach them some resiliency. And so it's not just about effort. So some solution-focused language. Let's look on the side with problem focus. Let's look at some of these words and some of these things. How many times can you think of the tattletale student that goes and says, Miss, do you see what they just did over here? They did this. That student in a solution focus would be they seek justice and they respect rules instead of being a tattletale. And then someone that's demanding, we can turn that into something solution focused that says they know what they want and that they're outspoken. And my favorite one, because I always had that on my report card, which one can you guess it was, Amanda?
Was it bossy?
Hey, it was bossy, and the other one, and I can't believe you overlooked it, was talkative.
Talking, yeah.
Enjoys, and so a solution focus is I enjoy communicating. And so I'm a natural leader. So I'm bossy and talkative, but I'm a natural leader and a visionary that enjoys communicating. So do you see how those things that we think about that are problems, how we can look at that and be solution focused for our students? And then we start talking about problem talk versus solution talk, because I absolutely love this, whole little picture. I just love this graphic, because you think about all these things that are negative and how we turn it into a positive. So if it's a problem, let's focus on a solution. And then what isn't working? So we know it didn't work for us to have a 6-hour session. So what is going to work? You see what I'm saying? Like what isn't working, what is going well. So what's going well? Virtual half-day sessions. That's with a solution talk. And then we talk about our language. Yes, but. No, it's not yes, but it's yes and. And my favorite, cannot, but we can. And then how many times are we asked to do something, even as adults, and we say why? Students are the same way. And we always say, because, we told you so. Why? But you can say how, when someone asks you to do something. So I think in your attitude, blaming, being curious, being helpless, making a difference. So I love this graphic, and I think it speaks to several of the students and then the situations that we just encounter on a daily basis, because I'm also looking at this and I'm thinking about stubborn, because I can be stubborn sometimes, but a solution focus is that I'm persistent, determined, and I'm steadfast. So I think this helped me today as well.
I think it's a great mind shift, right? Like shifting our own thoughts. I think it's a great way to reframe those things.
So not only is this helpful and impactful for the students that we deal with, but this is also impactful for the adults that we deal with, because we have to all work in this collaboration and work with people. So I think it just helps us all over the place.
For sure.
So coaching a growth mindset, adjusting our language.
Yeah, so these are just a few other ways that you might think about shifting that language with students. And I always love a good sentence stem or a sentence starter because it helps me to think in a different way. So on the left side, you've got questions that would help develop a growth mindset. But on the right side, I love the feedback comments because we know how important it is to be specific when we give feedback rather than just good job or that's nice, right? We want to give very specific feedback. And I like the idea of kind of giving that tweak of the growth mindset rather than just really specific, but focusing in on their progress and how they've improved throughout the process.
Because I absolutely love what steps did you take to make you successful today? So you're putting ownership on the person. So what did you do? And so I absolutely love that. And it says you haven't gotten it yet, but you will if you keep working and thinking about it.
Mhm.
So if we could just take that attitude on a day-to-day basis with our students and especially our gifted learners that are often misunderstood. So when we talk about what do those lessons look like, growth mindset and the power of productive failure, and how do you teach it? So not my work, but after researching Nadia Weston, these are some things that she suggested that would be good ways to implement students and helping them with productive failure and how you teach that. So some examples are fill my bucket, digital or real world buckets, and journals of learning portfolios. So like, because we're also technologically savvy. So you could do it digitally or you can have people write because students still need that same, writing skill or whatever. So I think this is a good idea. And I love that she has read, watch, and learn about failures, the same thing that you suggested, earlier from successful people, and discuss perseverance. Because I think that people feel like people just woke up today and that they could be, Travis Kelce. I think they just feel like he hasn't worked for it. They don't know what failures he's had. They don't know that he had surgeries, that he's in pain. I think people just feel like they just wake up and everybody is an instant success. And they don't talk about, how many times that they failed at doing something before they were actually, good at it. So I think students need to be able to make that connection, I think, as adults, because as we live in a society with social media, everybody paints this perfect picture and thinks nobody experiences failures and everything is a success, but that's not always true. And it still holds true to if you open up a book, you can find anything in it. So this is just a good, way to teach this, that kids will be able to understand about taking risk and about failures. Nadia also gives us some examples of some digital notebooks. And so she has, and this was from 2020, September 15, 2020. Remember, you grow each day. So she has different things on the flower petals. Positivity strengthens the brain. So these are things, and she makes a comment, and this is a digital, and she makes comments on the side, and she says, I like you created your own journal page. You may have to add you're able to use your creativity in regular assignments. So that's kind of, how she kind of just her self-talk and how she's helping the students through that. And then this was my favorite, one of my favorites as well, because how many times do we give people student choice and voice? So she's actually given her students the opportunity to have student choice and voice of things that they can do in a choice menu. So she asked them at the end of the year, take a survey. Let me know how you like imagination zones and how we can improve. So she put that on the whole classroom of things that they could do. Like, is this something that you like? What can we do to improve? And so she just has a lot of different things on here that you could do when she says the ultimate spring break choice menu. So she's giving the kids something fun to do because learning is ongoing. It gives them the opportunity to take risk. She gave assignments, and so they get to take a chance at it, learn the names of all 50 states. Maybe they can do it, maybe they can't do it, but they got the choice to do it. So if they didn't do all of it, it was okay because it was their choice, and you're teaching them to have student choice and to take risk. Because I still don't know how to juggle. So it's because I take the choice and I pick it. If I'm not don't do that well at it, I don't think I'll just be so disappointed because I know that wasn't something I was as good at, but I tried to pick it so that I could maybe try to do better at it. So that's definitely some things to think about when we're preparing lessons for our students, because with choice, that gives them the opportunity to take risk and creates a safe space for them.
Right, so this is just some good reminders that all behavior is a form of communication, right? And it's our job as adults to help figure out what the need is there. So I found a great resource. It is linked at the bottom here, the TEA page on equity in GT education. And then there is a one pager that I absolutely loved. It's called I'm Not Who You Think I Am. And I pulled out 3 of the characteristics or behaviors that you might see in a gifted student. And on that one pager, there's plenty more that you might see in some of your students or as you reflect back on some previous students. But what I pulled out was stubborn, lazy, and disrespectful.
Mhm.
And that's what we see on the surface, right? But when we dig a little deeper, in reality, they're communicating something different to us. And what I noticed on all 3 of these was afraid to risk failure, right? Those are things that are behind some of that behavior that we see coming out in the classrooms or even with our own children at home. And there's other reasons as well. You can see there, they might be frustrated. They might be testing their limits. They might be under challenged. But what was really great about this resource that I hope you take a look at is that right column. What I need, right? That's where we as educators and professionals and parents come in and we can provide that support, right? So if a student is being stubborn, they might need some problem solving
Mhm.
techniques. If they're being stubborn, they might need to learn how to pick their battles, right? Lazy. If we feel like they're being lazy, they may need some hands-on opportunities, a more non-competitive environment. And then even looking at disrespectful, that one's a hard one to take sometimes,
Mhm.
right? So I like the, opportunities to explore their passions, strengths-based assignments, and negotiated boundaries.
My favorite.
Yes. When we negotiate, we are picking choices that we approve before we let them negotiate with us, right? We set the boundaries there, but having them kind of contribute to that can give a little bit of ownership and maybe a little bit more buy-in. Awesome. I hope you check that resource out.
Definitely check it out. So we always like to end with the optimistic closing, as we hope that you end your classrooms each day. And so the only person you need to compare yourself with is who you were yesterday, Rushton Hurley. Thank you so much.